Dull property markets across India cut in home loan interest was meant to be a demand booster. Well, home loan rates have now slipped to a tad below the double-digit mark of 10%. But has this brought really some life back to the property markets, or is it too soon to predict? What really is happening to real estate across India? To answer some of those questions, we begin today with our annual roundup of property markets on the Realty Debate, starting with Greater Mumbai. Why Mumbai? For one, it is India's most populous city, so it deserves a lot of our attention. And it has also been in news recently with the state's chief minister throwing out Mumbai Development Plan 2034 out of the window for some glaring oversights. From a housing perspective, the entire industry may get paralyzed for almost a year, as neither approvals for existing projects will come through, nor will the industry be able to acquire or launch new projects. The supply is likely to be hit for nearly 2 to 3 years, some analysts say, because of these factors. So let's welcome my panelists and get on with the debate. We've got Sunil Mantri, CMD, Mantri Realty and President, Naredco, joining us from Mumbai. Also Mayur Shah, Managing Director, Marathon Group and Vice President, MCHI Credai. Ramesh Nair, Chief Operating Officer, Business and International Director, JLL India. Nitin Kilawala, Practicing Architect and Director, Group 7 Architects and Planners. And Sameer Jasuja, Founder and MD of Prop Equity. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I think the Development Plan 2034, the fallout of it has been much talked about. But I think, Mayur, if I had to come to you and ask you, what's been the real fallout for developers of the plan being junked and now gone back to the drawing board? 4 months is what it's going to take, or even more perhaps.
Manisha, I think the biggest problem is that the time, time and again things are on the plan, on the rules, keeps on changing, and that gives a tough time to the developers, whether they are buying a new land or they are on the planning stage or on a development mode. So that's the biggest hurdle when things keeps on changing, and to a certain a little longer period. But in any case, the Mumbai DP plan, it's a very mammoth task, and having all the stakeholders happy is very difficult to have in a Mumbai DP plan. But there was a great effort taken, and I think we feel that with whatever revision, it will be improved, and in up to 2034, we will have a very good development plan which will create a Mumbai a good, vibrant, dynamic city.
Ramesh Nair, would you agree with that fact that it's better that the current plan has been scrapped and a new one will be tabled because there were several discrepancies in it?
Manisha, firstly, what the Chief Minister's office said that, what they said was, it's not scrapped, it's been sent back for revision. Now BMC needs to review the plan. There are a lot of mistakes, close to 25 to 30,000 objections came. The biggest worry here is, what was the intent? The intent of the Chief Minister was to bring in supply, thereby increasing FSI, and then because supply increases, overall prices reduce, making Mumbai more affordable. But I think it's what is being played out is exactly the opposite. What is going to happen is what we saw in 2011 when the amendments to the old DP were being made. Nearly 1 year there were no approvals. Then it took another 6 months to 9 months for the developers and architects to actually understand what the impact of the new DP is. So what we saw was, while demand fell 40% back in 2011, supply also fell by 40%, because of which prices never corrected. So people complaining, buyers complaining that prices in Mumbai don't correct, have to actually blame the government, because government in 2011 did this, and now in 14 is doing the same. What we're going to see is land deals over the last 2-3 months have literally stopped. We are also seeing most developers not launching any new projects. Everybody is confused if it's going to be the old DP or the new DP which needs to be followed. Now that the Chief Minister has told it's going to happen in the next 4 months, which we believe is definitely not possible. It's a new DP where so much of new ground surveys have to be done. It's definitely not going to happen. So we believe the government needs to take efforts to simplify, to create supply in the market rather than restrict supply. And all this is only going to lead to prices further going up.
Okay, Sunil Mantri, would you agree that under the current uncertainty, developers are going to be very shy of launching new projects?
Yes, Manisha. I think what Ramesh just spoken, I think seems to be correct. What is precisely happening in the market? Everybody is waiting for the new DP to be launched. You will see very few launches which are going to happen in about 4 month time as government stipulated. But in my view, it should take anything between 8 to 12 months by the time the new DP is on. You need to also keep in mind there were about 50 to 60,000 objections which the municipal corporation received. They need to address that while giving the new DP. The third, I think there were a lot of mistakes what the government realized. They need to correct that also while publishing the new DP. Therefore, in most of the cases where the developer want to launch the project, he may wait till the new DP is on, and then only the launches will come. This means there will be a slow inventory movement, slow new supply coming in the market for a couple of months from now.
I must though ask Sameer Jasuja, we'll go through the prop equity data of demand, supply and the unsold stock a little later on the show. But Sameer, do you buy this argument that because supply has been muted, developers have been unclear, there have been many changing rules and regulations over the last 3 years for Mumbai developers, and that's the reason why prices are unnaturally high of Mumbai real estate?
I would actually not agree with you completely. I think the most important point to be kept in mind is that we have a huge demand supply mismatch in the Mumbai city. We are not referring to Thane and Panvel over here. So when you talk about Mumbai as a city, you have not more than 35 to 45,000 units being launched, and the price points developers can literally command because there is not enough supply and the demand is much higher. When you move to Thane and Navi Mumbai, that is constituting maximum new launches in the MMR region, and there the pricing has gone up substantially, but at the same time, there is enough supply for prices not to go up instantaneously like they've gone in Mumbai. And especially the most important point that has to be kept in mind is that Mumbai prices that you see on our data is also primary prices. The secondary prices is even higher. So the mismatch in secondary versus primary is also a lot because Mumbai just doesn't have enough ready stock. And the biggest dream of a Mumbaiker typically is to have his own apartment because the rental is also extremely high. If you look at across the board, rentals have crashed by about 50% except Bangalore and Mumbai in the last 2-3 years. Mumbai has maintained the rentals and gone higher on the residential side, whereas commercial in Mumbai is dropping and commercial everywhere else going up.
All right, that's very, very curious, but these are some of the numbers, not new, but every time you hear about them, they still tend to jolt you. Now, 60% Mumbaikars, let's flash these figures, 60% Mumbaikars live in houses of less than 650 square feet. 70% of Greater Mumbai lives in one-room tenements. Imagine 70% of Greater Mumbai, and 42% of the total population of 12.5 million Mumbaikars lives in slums. Now, affordability, as Sameer just pointed out, and or the demand-supply mismatch, what are the houses which are coming in the market and can people really afford them is the big question. The biggest problem of Mumbai, just look at these statistics. Only 9% of the population in Mumbai earns more than 60,000 rupees. And the median income of Mumbaikar, it's called the city of dreams, and of course, it is the city of rich, but imagine the median income of Mumbai is just 20,000 rupees. So majority cannot afford the lowest price of even a single bedroom public housing unit, which costs 14 lakh rupees. Nitin Kilawala, I mean, we are talking about the Mumbai development plan, but you looked at the plan, there were 30,000 plus objectives, but were these facts considered? Does the government have these very, very startling facts in view when it's looking at coming out with a new or a changed plan?
I think you have hit the nail, right? When a DP is made, and normally this development plan is always done after 2 decades, we expect that all the citizens are taken care. Now, as you mentioned, more than 60% of people, they are staying in slums. 20% are in dilapidated houses or one-room tenements. Now, what we talk about, the real estate development, especially by private real estate developers, they have their own niche market, which caters to only maybe 5 to 10% of the population. So this DP does not touch at all 60% of the population, which is almost 75 lakhs people. So there is something fundamentally wrong. Now, when you look at the basic intent or the vision for this DP, it's really fantastic. It says inclusiveness. It also says about quality of life. It talks about so many other good aspects of good quality of living. But what it is transpired into, there are two sets. One is preparatory studies and other one is the actual implementation. So there is no connect at all between what they got the data in terms of preparatory studies and what is being implemented. So this is something which is very, very basic. Even we get budgets every year and common people are affected. Here, a DP which is done after 2 decades has not touched at all about 60 to 80% of the population.
Okay.
And why it is so? Why our prices in Bombay are more than Dubai? There is no justification whatsoever. This DP also recognizes the facts that almost 1/3 of water supply is not even built. There is no mechanism to collect this. Only 2% of the slum dwellers are have access to sewage. These are very basic and fundamentals, which we are not really addressing it. And we are talking of only FSI. Fine, increase in FSI is always good. So that unnecessarily artificial scarcity which has been created is to some extent taken care. So here, a very good thing in DP is that FSI is considered as not as your entitlement. FSI is used as a planning tool. Now, if this is made affordable, which is not really happening, because along with the FSI, they're also charging premium A, premium B, and so on and so forth. So in real terms, the real estate prices, the basic resource, the main resource of the land is always going to go up. The cost of that is always going to go up.
Mr. Keelawala, very, very good point made. Let's just look at some of the fundamental flaws which the development plan of Mumbai 2034, which has just gone back to the drawing board with BMC, had. Now, as Mr. Keelawala pointed out, it did propose to increase FSI, very good, but what was the thought behind state of infrastructure? The infrastructure also needed to get enough thought, because you can't keep populating people or areas without having adequate infrastructure. Opening up of no development zones for residential development, now that was a very, very big question mark. Many areas of the city which were under other special planning authorities such as the SRA, CIDCO, MMR, Dharavi, Back Bay, the Mumbai airport, all had been kept out of the purview of the plan. There was no strategy which had been recommended to incorporate a holistic development of slums, is one of the big concerns that Mr. Keelawala just pointed out. Mumbai's RA colony, over 2,000 hectares of green cover, was listed in the plan not as a forest but as a growth center, and as many as 1,048 heritage structures along with several other landmarks were omitted from the plan. So some of these of course have been spoken about. Ramesh Nair, I'm going to come back to you. You spoke about land. So there's a very, very delicate balance between exploiting your green cover for building commercial or residential and actually exploiting land so that you don't have price rise as much as you see in Mumbai. Do you think Mumbai has enough land without actually touching or destroying its green cover to be able to bring down prices of real estate? That's the big question.
Number of mistakes made, some of which you summarized, Manisha, but there was hardly any discussion on open areas. The city has 1.1 square meter per person of open area. If you look at internationally, a city like London has 30 square meter per person. Cities like New York, Chicago have 25 square meter per person. So that was not touched upon. Green areas, again, not touched upon. There was hardly any discussion on infrastructure. We are increasing FSI, taking it to 5, 6.5, 8. Does the city have enough infrastructure to support it? Also, they made some lot of mistakes, like if today the city needs parking, but additional parking has been brought in into the it becomes regular FSI. So a developer actually needs to buy FSI from the government if he needs to do additional parking. So that's a mistake again. Clubhouse again has become part of FSI again. So what we're going to see is developers are not going to create those amenities. They're not going to create those additional parking slots. A lot of mistakes you mentioned, bringing in RA Colony as a growth center, big mistake the government did. Areas like Pali Hill, making it into hawker zones, one of the most posh prime residential areas. So many mistakes like this could have been fixed. What we believe is to get the land, what the government needs to do is, there are a lot of plans. Like we have, the government has a plan to create 5 growth centers outside from Virar Vasai to the Kalyan stretch, to the Bhiwandi stretch, to Panvel, to Pen Alibag stretch. So these 5 growth centers which the government wants to create, move population to those locations, create jobs there. So those are some of the things the government can do. All these are work in progress plans. The government needs to work hard to kind of make sure it's implemented fast.
All right. In fact, we do have a very interesting survey from McKinsey on how much land is available without actually destroying the green coverage. We will come back and look at that. But just look at what the Chief Minister said when he sent back the Mumbai development plan onto the drawing board. He said Mumbai's image will be hit if the city can't even prepare a DP properly after 2 decades. In governance, DP is an instrument to develop cities' infrastructure, amenities and green space. People have the right to decide the DP as it will determine the future of the city for the next 20 years. A very powerful statement. On our way back, we're going to look at where is the land in Mumbai, how do prices come back, and what do you do? The data that I have, prop equity data, shows me that the inventory overhang, which is existing stock in the Mumbai city or greater Mumbai region, is just selling at a very, very slow pace. Overhang as of February 2015 has been 48 months in some of the markets. So some of the data which throws a lot of light and also a lot of questions. On our way back. Stay with us.